And I tried to slam the door on him, but I couldn't. So he gets inside, then he tries to grab me. So I push him back, I try to get him off of me, and then I slam my hand into his face, and that's when he decides to get off of me.
A 13-year-old California girl fights back and stops a sexual predator. The attack caught on surveillance camera. Police say the same man also tried to sexually assault another woman last month in the San Francisco Bay Area. Hello, I'm Ty Hernandez in New York. Let's get the latest from Matt Keller. He's with our San Francisco station KGO-TV, and he's in San Jose. Matt?
Good morning, Ty. Yeah, police say this attacker is still on the loose. They call him bold, as he committed these crimes in the middle of the day. Now they want to stop him before he strikes again. May 5th was just like any other day for this 13-year-old girl walking from school to her West San Jose home near Stevens Creek Boulevard and Lawrence Expressway. But this surveillance video shows the danger following her. The middle school student first noticed the man when he approached her on the front porch, told her he was lost, and asked her name and age, and then started asking inappropriate questions. She tells us what happened next.
That's when I decided to run inside the house because I already unlocked it. And I tried to slam the door on him, but I couldn't, so he gets inside.
The next images from the home surveillance system show the man grab her while she struggles and fights back, slamming her hand into his face. He backs off and looks out the door. The middle schooler walks away from him, obviously terrified. She says she tried to grab something sharp or heavy to throw at him if he came at her again.
He walked a few steps towards me, and I thought he was going to grab me again. But he just turns around and looks out the door and just walks away.
The young girl then ran into her parents' closet, locked the door, and began texting her parents. Her dad called 911. Police arrived and discovered the same man was a suspect in another attempted sexual assault on April 2nd. In that case, the man followed a 28-year-old woman into a restroom at the Mitzwa Market at Saratoga and Moore Park in West San Jose. That woman also fought off the attacker. For the 13-year-old victim and her family, a new reality. Life will not seem as safe anymore.
They should be able to walk home from school because they shouldn't be kept in captive because of those sick person out there.
I'm really happy I'm safe and I fought him off, but I'm still really scared and I'm really low on trusting the outside world anymore.
While both attacks happened here in West San Jose, police don't know where he lives or works, so that's why they're asking everyone in the Bay Area to keep an eye out for.
Matt Keller from our San Francisco station KGO-TV. Thank you. Let's bring in ABC's crime and terror analyst Brad Garrett. Brad, police may not have many leads, but they say the suspect wants to get caught because he's out with these brazen attacks during daylight. He's not in any kind of disguise. Do you agree?
Well, I certainly agree that he's unsophisticated, doing a high-risk crime during the time of day or night when there's more people around. But, you know, I'll contend the following. He's doing these because for him, they're easy targets of opportunity. Maybe it's when he gets off from work, or maybe he happens to be in a particular location, like the woman who was attacked at a store, and then this 13-year-old that was attacked inside her own home. He just sees people, apparently, and then he lets that drive his behavior. So he follows her very blatantly into her house, where obviously he could be identified, he could be seen entering the house. So yes, I would agree that he's going to get caught because these are so unsophisticated, and he's also not particularly motivated. I mean, thank God, both women were able to successfully get away from him by putting up some resistance.
It appears from that video that he's got a camera in his hand. This is something that the girl says frightened her a lot. Why would she be scared of that? Why should she be scared about someone perpetrating that type of attack with a camera in hand?
Well, because I think he's trying to do two things. He's trying to capture whatever his fantasy is about what he wants to do, or his intentions with her or the other woman. And the idea that that video could go viral, it could go out on the internet some way, and so it's sort of a double whammy for a victim of besides being personally and physically victimized, they also could be ongoing victimized if a video would get out into the public.
Speaking of video, we're talking social media here. This video of her defending herself is really making the rounds. How important is social media now for law enforcement in catching somebody?
It's actually has become critical. I mean, you've got decent shots of this guy, it appears, both at the 13-year-old's house and also where the 28-year-old was, the attempted assault occurred. So the combination of those two photos, the ability to place them strategically on the net, probably the police have it on their own website. The police have been and FBI have been quite successful in identifying and locating people strictly from social media leads, because people can be anonymous. They can send a lead in saying, that's Joe Smith, and he lives at the following location, and then the police check it out and it matches and they've got their guy. So extremely important.
We see in the surveillance video there's a point where she gets free, but she doesn't run away. She says she was actually looking for something to hit the suspect with. It worked for her. She didn't want to turn her back on him. But what do you advise people in these scenarios? Do you run away and risk turning your back on that kind of perpetrator?
Well, the key is obviously to get away from them. But if you feel like you can't safely do that, then you have to make a decision. If you attack him, is he the type of offender that just inflames? Because there's a type of sex offender that if you resist them, they really will become physically aggressive with you and hurt you. Others, and he appears to fit this profile, some resistance is too much for him. In both cases, apparently the women resisted him and he fled. So this was the right call with him. I tell people to do the following. You basically have to go to your own limitations. If you feel like it's the right thing to do and you think you can deal with it, in other words, physically confronting him, then maybe you should. If you're not one of those people, then you have to think about other alternatives. But as I mentioned earlier, the key is to get away from him. For example, when she came into the house, he obviously was following her. People just have to be more aware of their environments, whether they're 13 or 28. I'm clearly not blaming her at all. I'm just making a suggestion that she may not have even gotten in the house if she'd have turned around and he was obviously coming up the driveway or up her sidewalk as she was unlocking the front door.
So many parents, focus on making sure that their children are polite to adults. But obviously when they're encountered with something like this, what do you say to parents to teach their kids when their instinct might be telling them something is wrong?
You have to tell them to follow their instincts and to be aware all the time. Where are you? If you're alone, be aware of your circumstances. Be aware of the people around you. Always have the ability to immediately contact somebody with a cell phone. Don't go into areas where you've increased your possibility of being victimized. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, and I'm going to guess that this 13-year-old didn't do one thing wrong. She was just basically trying to work her way home from school. But I guess the key for her is she moves around, don't walk around with earbuds in, where you can't hear and you're not in touch with your environment. The key is to see what's going on around you. Not to be paranoid, not to work yourself up into an emotional frenzy, but be cognizant and aware. And that, combined with the locations you're moving to and from, can minimize the possibility of being attacked.
All right, Brad, thank you so much for joining us, ABC crime and terror analyst Brad Garrett. You can keep up with this story in real time by downloading the ABC News app and starring the story for exclusive updates on the go. I'm Ty Hernandez in New York.